What is going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. And today I want to talk about two fan bases that I legitimately despise. Two fan bases that deserve their own video because they're similar. It's kind of like if you're ever unfortunate enough to have been a part of or have a family member that's been a part of a cult. And you try and tell them, look, man, like they're controlling all your money. They're telling you how to think. Like, don't you think this is problematic? Yeah. And they'll say, but that's your lower mindset talking, man. Like, you're in the matrix. We're unplugged from the matrix, man. We see things clearly. We see the truth. And any bit of fact that's presented to them grounds them deeper into their delusion. There's a word for that, by the way. It's called cognitive dissonance. Florida State and Colorado fans are the greatest example of that. In fact, it would not surprise me is if you typed in cognitive dissonance into a search engine, it wouldn't just spit you back the Colorado and Florida State logos. First, we'll talk Florida State. Now, Florida State really feeling themselves this year, got up, beat Alabama, and it was impressive. They bring in Gus Malzahn as their offensive coordinator. They bring in Castellanos. I think that's how you say his name. Get a good win. Then they played Nobody State and Nowhere A&M, and they proclaimed that they're the greatest football team that's ever played. Everyone give us, look how great we are. They were getting mad that they weren't immediately ranked number one in the country after that. Then what happens? They get beat by Virginia. A team that we all thought was likely to fire their coach this year because they were going to be so bad. Now, is Virginia better than anyone thought they were going to be up to this point? Yes. Yes, they are. But Florida State fans, we talked about the cognitive dissonance, they are a fan base that can never accept that they actually lost a football game. They cannot accept this. This is why immediately following the game, I put a poll out on Twitter. I said, what are Florida State fans going to blame this loss on? It's not going to be anything to do with their football team, by the way. It's not going to be Mike Norvell. It's not going to be Gus Malzahn. It's not going to be any of the players. It's got to be some outside conspiracy-driven factor. I put ESPN. I put refs. I think the Deep State was on there. Refs, by the way, won out. They're convinced. And I mean, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of tweets following that game about how the ACC refs are crooked. The ACC is a crooked conference that screwed Florida State. And here's the thing with the Florida State conspiracy idiots. Like with most conspiracy-driven morons, they never ask themselves, what's the point? Like, I literally had a guy tell me a year or two ago or whatever that the government was pumping in propaganda through the 5G, amongst other things. But they're pumping in propaganda and other things through the 5G signals in our brains. And I'm like, why would they do that? And if everyone's in on it, then what's the point? Then there's nothing you can do about it then. Then what can you do? Same thing with these guys. They don't ever ask themselves, why would the ACC screw Florida State? They've bent the knee to Florida State. All right, already. Florida State sues them, gives them basically everything they wanted. Now Florida State fans claiming victory. We're just making you pay out. How is that? How is that the case? But why would the ACC screw Florida State to make them lose to Virginia so that when they play Miami next week, it's not a top 10 matchup? Not a single one of these morons can tell you why that is. They're just mad, and they're trying to, in their small, weak brains, feel better and come up with something that makes them feel better. And that's what they come up with. Also, they have the money to get out of the conference today. They're just being smart and waiting. But let's play that all the way through. So you're being smart by staying in a conference that's hell-bent to screw you, so you take a loss to Virginia, but then you blame the conference that you could pay to get out of if you wanted to, but you don't want to. I mean, you cannot make sense of this stupidity. And this is why they deserve every bit of vitriol that they get from me and everyone else on the internet. Because we're all dumber for having scrolled past their tweets. The world is collectively a worse and dumber place because of their fan base. Next, Colorado. This is both fan bases that I told you and warned you about before they played Georgia Tech and took big fat ass L's to them. Colorado, what did I say all offseason? Filling your coaching staff with a bunch of coaches that have little to zero coaching experience is not only is it not an equation for success, it's an equation for abject failure and falling on your face. I told Colorado fans, losing Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, your top 3 wide receivers, all that is going to have a negative effect on you. Well, why are you talking about all the people that we lost? That's all they want to talk about right now. They got on to me. Why are you talking about last year's team? This year's team. All they want to talk about now is last year's team. They don't have a freaking clue who their quarterback is. Hey, Caden Salter, most electrifying quarterback in college football. They've now benched him twice. Oh, man, when Juju Lewis comes in, how bad does Juju Lewis have to be? How bad does Juju Lewis have to be for him not to be starting? Deion Sanders doesn't have a clue what he's doing. There's little to no experience on their staff outside of their offensive coordinator. And here's the worst thing. Deion Sanders clearly doesn't care and clearly doesn't want to be there. And I don't say that lightly. Like usually when someone says, look, that they didn't want it, they don't want to be there, I usually admonish people for that because I'm like, how can you know? With Deion Sanders, you can know. I did a watch party for the Colorado BYU game. I watched the entire Colorado BYU game, a game that Colorado was very competitive in. Surprised me. Salter played a lot better. That running back for Colorado, I think, is a really good running back. Comes down to the wire. And, Colorado goes for it on 4th with like 40 seconds, though, doesn't get it. BYU gets it. Should end the game if they just need the clock out. Deion pockets both timeouts. Never in the 20, 30 years, however long it's been, I've been watching football, have I seen a coach in that position pocket 2 timeouts. BYU comes out in a shotgun formation because they're going to take the shotgun snap, run around, and try and run as much clock as they can off on the play as opposed to taking a knee. They had already snapped it over his head once in that game. You take a timeout, maybe he snaps it over his head, maybe you get it back, maybe the next play when they go to knee the ball, maybe he fumbles the snap, who knows? You'll never know now. You'll never know because Deion Sanders was ready to end the game. He conceded. Wasn't asked once about it in the press conference. 90% of the time when you look at him during the game, he doesn't even have his mouthpiece down, not communicating with his coaches whatsoever. It's so bad at Colorado. Even the diehard Deion Sanders fans are starting to give some blowback to Deion Sanders. And I do legitimately feel bad for the Colorado fans. They're going to be there no matter what. All these guys are going to be gone. Deion Sanders might not make it through this year. That's a fact. Deion Sanders might not even make it through this year. Listen to their schedule. Who do they have next? So they just took an L to BYU at TCU. TCU's probably going to beat the brakes off Colorado. Let's be honest. Iowa State. That's another 2-touchdown loss at a minimum. By Utah. Very likely to be at least a 10-point loss. Arizona. That's 4 straight games they could lose. So who could they beat going forward? Arizona, at West Virginia, at Kansas. You're not beating Arizona State. I don't think you're beating Utah, Iowa State, TCU. Deion's not going to stay around for that. If he doesn't leave before the end of the year, I am quite sure this will be his last year. So speaking of last year, when I said last year Deion would implode, I was wrong about the time. I was early, but I wasn't wrong about Deion Sanders. Anyone with a modicum of football IQ could see this coming. When the focus of your team is Ice Cube coming to talk to first of all, what the hell is Ice Cube going to tell your team? Ice Cube don't know how to pull and block a linebacker. Ice Cube don't know about gap responsibility. What the hell does he have to do? Why would you want him to talk to your team? Remember when they got mad at Clayton Powell-Lee? Because he said, well, those celebrities don't play the game. You're damn right. He was proven right. By the way, a lot of these Colorado fans now, they're NFL fans. At least half of the people that claimed to be Colorado fans at the beginning of the season are now Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders NFL fans. They're gone, never to be seen again, thrown into the tall grass somewhere. And I don't feel bad for them. I hope Colorado loses every game this year. I hope Florida State loses every game this year. And to the Florida State fans, if you're so bent on leaving, then leave. Then leave. Leave or shut your mouth about all write down the scores, the ACC's on the scores. Well, according to you, you could leave today. So shut the hell up. Just shut up. No one wants to hear it. And to the guys who were screaming at me for not giving Deion his due or Colorado his due, you can email your apologies to WreckTalk@gmail.com and y'all can shut the hell up too. How about that? Y'all have a good one.